Packaging is used in everyday life now. Water bottles, plastic bottles, paper bags, cartoon boxes, it appears in everywhere. But how did it start? How did it all come together? Who developed the first bottle? Who developed the first cartoon box? In today's video, we'll explore all of this. We'll explore packaging in both past, and we'll also discover and take a look at the future of packaging. Hope you enjoyed the video. First, let's define packaging. I think that packaging is just materials that are used to wrap or protect goods or products that are sold in stores. But how is this developed? How did it develop into the products that we know now? Let's go back to the past. The concept of packaging was first thought as a concept for early humanity to store and transport their foods. And in the past, in the very ancient times, the packaging using were like leaves, animal skins, and nuts. These kinds of stuff were used to package products. Not exactly products, but to store foods and to transport foods from one location to another location. Packaging was used, and that's really the first thing. And then after that, we have two paths. Egyptians and the Chinese. For the Egyptian part, this is like way before present. This is like few thousand years ago. And Egyptians has already developed glass. But at that time, glass was like a very costly thing. It's regarded as a precious stone, only for royalty. They mold glass into containers to store food and water for future use. But at the same time, in the Chinese area, and they invented paper. And they used a material called
mulberry bark.
They used mulberry bark to wrap foods. Once they discovered a better technique, they also used it to wrap medicine or like tea. So this is really one of the earliest signs of packaging. There's a lot of concepts of packaging in the earliest days, but in this video, we will be focusing on the Industrial Revolution. I'm in the Industrial Revolution because there's new energy sources such as coal, steam, and electricity, and also the discovery of new materials and the technology development that really impact the packaging industry. Have you wondered how food stays fresh for a long time? Well, there's a process called canning that helps preserve food and keep it safe to eat. It was invented a long time ago by a man named Nicholas Appert in 1809. He wanted to find a way to keep food from spoiling, especially for soldiers and sailors who needed to have food that lasts. Because at that time, there was a person called Napoleon. And this guy, he's a French emperor. He offered a price of 12,000 French dollars to anyone who come up for a reliable way to preserve food for his army. Because at that time, the main way to preserve food is still using wooden barrels, but they couldn't really bring a lot of wooden barrels to the war, to the battlefield. So this guy, he gave a prize, an award to a person who can invent it. And Nicholas Appert came in 1809 and discovered a method which involved sealing food in bottles or jars and heating it up to a specific temperature for a certain amount of time. And the heating process will kill the germs and microorganisms that made the food go bad. The sealed container also prevented new germs from getting inside and spoiling the food. Later on, someone named Peter Durand, he came up with a clever idea in 1810. And instead of using bottles, he used cans made out of tin-coated iron. These cans were much more practical and became the popular choice of storing food. Cans used to be made out of tin-plated iron, but now they're made of steel. So in this time, in 1810, is made out of tin plated iron. But now, the cans that you see in supermarket, mall, they used steel with a thin layer of tin outside. The cans are made by machines now that fill them with food and seal them shut. The filled cans then are heated to kill any remaining bacteria or germs and then cool down. After that, they're labeled and ready to sold. And this essentially is a huge part of packaging in the 1910 and is still used today. So what happened after? In 1852, a man named Francis Wool. This guy invented the paper bag machine. And after that, the paper bag machine that he made was improved essentially by George West. And I will tell you the story of this right now. So, before their inventions, paper bags were made by hand, and it is such a huge process. It is time consuming and also labor intensive. In 1852, Wool, this guy, Francis Wool, created the first successful paper bag machine that used a continuous roll of paper to produce flat bottom bags. The machine greatly improved the efficiency and also scalability of the paper bag production. After that, George West came in and further improved the paper bag machine by introducing like a rotary cutting mechanism and a device that automatically opened the bag for filling. So these enhancements really increased the machine's output and made it an essential tool in the packaging history in 1852. The impact of this paper bag machine was very significant. It transformed packaging practice in industrial like retail, food, and transportation, allowing for more secure, hygienic, and attractive packaging of products. Paper bags also became a preferred alternative to materials like cloth, to them being cheap and environmental friendly. Paper bags are also recyclable at that time when they developed it, and they can also reduce the plastic bag uses. But what's really the difference between the paper bag that they made before and the paper bag now? Let me write this. There's really 3 points that I'm going to tell you that's the key difference from the paper bag in 1852 that was made by Francis Wool and the paper bag now in 2024 that is made. So first of all, the design. The paper bag created by Wool in 1852 were flat bottom bags. That means that they have a cone shape like this. I'll put the picture right here. And they cannot self-stand. So if you put it on the table, it will fall down, it will fall over. Nowadays, many of the paper bags can just stand on their own, and which allow them to expand and stand up straight. And this design now provided more space for items and made them easier to carry. The manufacturing process. Wool's paper bags were made using a continuous roll of paper that was feed into the machine. And then it was folded, glued, and then cut into individual bags. Today, paper manufacturing involves advanced machinery that can produce bags precisely with precise dimensions and many other designs. The process now allowed creating paper bags to be more efficient and have more customization options. The last point that I would say is strength. The paperback created by Wool were relatively simple in design and made from basic materials. Modern paperbacks, on the other hand, which is a 2024 paperback, are often made from higher quality materials than before, such as craft paper, which is thicker and stronger. This enhances their durability and allows them to withstand heavier loads without tearing or breaking nowadays. So what happened after? Now the next point I want to say is very interesting. Is the development of corrugated paper. This was invented in 1856. But this was an accident. Let me tell you the story now. Close your eyes. Imagine the time when trade and transportation were booming in the 19th century, and there was a need for efficient packaging materials. That's when the development of corrugated paper come in. In 1856, a clever man named Albert Jones, he created the corrugated paper. A clever man named Albert Jones painted a process for producing corrugated paper using rollers. But then it was two extraordinary men, Edward Allen and Edward Healy, who took the invention to the next level. Edward Allen is an English engineer, and Edward Healy is an American printer. They joined forces in the late 1860s to improve the corrugated paper manufacturing process. They made enhancements to the machinery used for the floating process, resulting in more precise and consistent corrugated. Their hard work paid off, and they created a more reliable and better corrugated paper. Now, why did I say that this story is very interesting? Because when they were developing the paperback, it was an accident, and it has to do with top hats. So it turns out that hat makers faced many challenges before the invention of corrugated paper. Traditional material like straw, so when they were making the hat, right, they used straws, felt, and fabric. But these materials were difficult to shape and lacked the necessary support to maintain their form. But when corrugated paper came into the picture, everything changed. So at this point, if you still don't know what corrugated paper is, I'll draw it out right here. So in a paper box, right, or in a carton box, you have two outside layers. For example, this. You have the top layer and the bottom layer, right? But if you can see here, right, there's also a middle layer. And the middle layer is called the corrugated paper. The shape is like this, it's like a wavy shape. And this is really important in the packaging history, I'm telling you. Basically, Edward Allen and Edward Healy were finding a material to make like a top hat material, right? They invented it. They used Albert Jones' invention, and they made it into top hats. But then they realized that the potential of this thing, and they moved into the packaging industry. So originally, this corrugated paper was supposed to be a top hat material, and maybe it still is right now, or maybe not. But at that time, corrugated paper's lightweighted yet sturdy nature made it the perfect material for hat design. Hat makers started incorporating it into their creations, strategically placing it within the brims, crowns, and other structural elements. The corrugated paper provided the corrugated paper made their top hats more stronger and more flexible, allowed it for different shapes and customization. And guess what? The affordability and availability of the corrugated paper made it accessible to a broader range of manufacturers, leading it to a trend of hat makers and made a huge impact in the packaging industry. So what's next? Let's talk about the pre-cut paper box and its history. Close your eyes. Imagine a time when every box had to be cut and folded by hand. It was a time-consuming process, but then came a man named Robert Glare, and he changed everything. Robert Glare was an inventor. You can open your eyes now. Robert Glare was an inventor and entrepreneur who lived in the late 19th century. He owned a factory in Brooklyn, New York, where he produced fake paper bags. One day, there was a mistake in the factory. Instead of making bags, the worker accidentally cut up 20K of them. Now, most people will see this as a huge problem, but not Robert Glare. He saw an opportunity. Instead of seeing his ruined bag as a loss, Glare saw the potential for something new. He realized that if he could punch and crease the paper or card box in a single operation, he could create a pre-cut container that could be folded into a box. And that's exactly what he did. Glare developed a machine in 1856. Not 1856, my fault. In 1879, Glare developed a machine in 1879 which could create a pre-cut container that could be folded into a box. And this essentially was a huge game changer for the packaging industry. No longer that every box has to be made by hand, and with his machine, boxes could be produced much quickly and efficiently. Using the new Glare's machine, right? He can produce 750 pre-cut card box per hour. But in the old days, where they were not cutting and creasing at the same time, they were making 750 per day. So this efficiency was really good, and it changed the packaging industry itself. This also marked the birth of the folding cartoon industry, and it changed the way products were packaged, marketed, and transported. Think about it. Without his invention, right, we wouldn't have the easy to assemble boxes we use today. Imagine the time and effort it would need to take, package, and ship products without the boxes. It would be horrible. Glare's invention completely changed the industry and has also a profound impact on the consumers and advertising as well. With the ability to easily package products in an attractive branded box, companies could now showcase, at this time, in 1879, companies could now showcase their products in a more appealing way. It made packaging a more important part in the marketing industry, in the marketing strategy. If any of you guys are in Hong Kong and is looking to move out, or you need packaging material for your business, click the link in the description. It will bring you to our website where we sell high quality packaging materials. Thanks. This is a bubble wrap, and this item has changed the way fragile items are shipped and protected. But did you know that this was created by accident? Our story begins in 1957 when two entrepreneurs named Alfred Fielding and Mart Chavanas, they had the idea to create a three-dimensional plastic wallpaper. To bring their idea to life, they sealed two shower curtains together, and they think that will make a cool wallpaper. But their experiment didn't yield the intended result. But they noticed something interesting: the trapped air bubbles within the layers. They recognized that their discovery has the potential to change the packaging industry. They shift their focus from making wallpapers to packaging materials and founded a company called the Sealed Air Corporation in 1960. They made it to develop and market their innovative product. The original name for the product was called AirCap. The name shows its ability to provide cushioning and protection during shipping. To make bubble wrap more practical and efficient, they made significant achievements. They transitioned from using shower curtains to a more durability material called, I can't read it, I'll just put it right here. Basically, this is like a plastic. This change increased the product's longevity and made it more suitable to become a packaging material. Additionally, they also refined the manufacturing process by introducing automatic machinery. This allowed them to produce bubble wrap within a much larger scale without labor being intensive. The bubble wrap gained widespread recognition and acceptance in the packaging industry. The cushioning and lightweight properties made it a good solution for protecting fragile items. Businesses quickly realized its value and started using it. As a result, the product's popularity rised up and it quickly became a staple in various sectors, including e-commerce, electronics, and fragile item shipping, and this is still used today. So what came after? PopTap is created in 1959 by Emerald Fraze. He started his own shop with just $800 borrowed from his wife, Maritha. Despite these challenges, Fraze's mindset and skills helped him to invent the PopTap. If you don't know what the PopTap is basically, if you drink any soft drinks today, and it's basically the thing that you go that thing. One sunny day in 1959, while enjoying a picnic, he faced a common problem: no opener for his beverage can. At the time, people were still using the traditional Peter Durant's can, and you can only open it with a can opener. But this accident sparked a brilliant idea in his mind. He believed that there is a better way to open a can easily, and he wants to find it. Fraze's determination led him to experiment with various designs. He identified the small fastening device in the center of the can's top as the key element. His innovation involved incorporating a small lever into the rivet, allowing user to break the can seal to create an opening. To make this possible, he devised a rivet made of the same aluminum as the can's top. And this was his first vision, or the first design of the product. I'll put a picture right here to show. Now imagine Fraze's excitement when he presented the idea to major companies. But unfortunately, they were hesitating to adopt his new pop cans due to the expensive retooling required. Even the leading aluminum producer at the time dismissed the idea. However, she representative later visited Dayton to study his samples, and they were blown away by the potential. She eventually purchased Fraze's designs and his company, and it became the supplier of the machinery needed to produce cans with the PopTap technology. The moment of truth really came when a beverage producing business became the first customer to order 100K PopTaps cans in 1962. The introduction of PopTap caused a remarkable 400% increase in the business sales within just 6 months. This success quickly caught the attention of other beer manufacturers, which adopted the new can design. The pump tab popularity flew up by a lot, and soon it became a standard feature in the beverage industry. But Fraser did not stop there. He listened to feedback and continued to adjust his invention. In 1965, he introduced a ring pull version that was safer to use. And that made it to the can that we see today in supermarket and malls. But what come after that? Have you ever wondered who invented the plastic soda bottle that we use every day? Well, let me introduce you to this guy. His name is called Nathaniel Wood. He began working on his most famous invention, the plastic soda bottle, in 1967. And he was curious why plastic was not used for beverage bottles. So at the time, people are still using glass bottles or cans to store their drink. So he decided to conduct an experiment at home. Brought a plastic bottle of the gin, replaced the container with ginger ale, sealed it and refrigerated it overnight. To his surprise, the bottle had swollen so much that it was stuck between the refrigerator shelves. The experiment really sparks his determination to develop a stronger plastic container. Because he studied in a school, in a very good university actually, he understood that stretching nylon thread strengthened it, aligning in molecules. He faced the challenge to finding a way to stretch plastic and align its molecules in 2 dimensions. To solve this, he created a preformed mold for the bottle, resembling a test tube with screw threads and diamond crisscross pattern. When plastic was extended through his model, the molecules aligned as he intended. He also switched from this to the thing that we know, PET right now, a material with superior elastic properties. This really enhanced the bottle's strength and resistance, making it the bottles that we know today. So this is basically the stuff that we covered today. This is a list right here, and these are just a small part of the entire packaging industry. There's way more new stuff to uncover, and we might do that in another video. But what is the future of packaging? I asked ChatGPT this question: what might the future of the packaging industry might be? And basically he said 3 points. The first one is sustainability and packaging. He said that we basically need to reduce packaging waste by using less materials and making packaging more efficient. He said that we need to use eco-friendly materials like biodegradable plastics and plant-based materials, which will break down naturally and not harm the environment. And last, he said that a life cycle assessment can help us understand the environmental impact of packaging through its life. So basically what he's trying to say is that sustainability is going to be important. Designs, he said that smart packaging will have sensors and tags that will provide information about the freshness and safety of the product, and minimalistic designs will use less materials while still protecting products. And lastly, interactive packaging will make shopping more fun and allow us to learn about sustainability. So it still links back to sustainability. And the last one is eco-friendly packaging materials. And basically he said that we might use plant-based materials like polyitic acid, PLA, and starch-based polymeters in the future. which can replace traditional plastics. And packaging made from recyclable materials like paper and glass can be reused and turned into something new will be more important in the future. And new and exciting materials that we haven't discovered yet, maybe like mushroom-based packaging and edible packaging, are also being developed. All of these are just assumption for the future and it might not be true at all. So thanks for watching this video.